talking about the philosophy of big data.
Okay, thanks for the introduction. Well, let's give a big hand for the very excellent presentation our friend Kash. Let's hear for him again. Okay. So now that people talk about like pictures speak louder than the words, he did that already. So I'll speak a little bit slower. I'll not show much of pictures. So I'll talk about philosophy of big data. So before I begin, I would like to take a quick check on how many people here know what big data is. I need to see show of hands. Maybe 60% if I'm right. Okay. How many people consider themselves an expert of big data? None? Okay, perfect. Perfect. So I can speak anything here and fool people around. So that's perfect. How many people showed up here for free food? Only me, and I didn't even get it. I mean, by the time I reached here, everything was finished. So this is the feedback for the organizer. At least speakers should get the food. Okay. So here we go. We are starting with big data. So the idea what I'll lay out here is that I'll try to describe what big data is, what are the pros and cons, how the industry is being defined, what are the top areas in the sector, and I want to make it very interactive so that people don't sleep because people have ate a lot of pizza, and I don't want people to sleep. So bear with me. I'll ask questions. If I see anybody speaking, I'll just point out and ask question whatever I've talked about here. So you have to bear with me. So here we go. So the agenda is definition, market landscape, etc. And we'll go away and we'll discuss about takeaways. And if you have any questions, please stop me there and then, and I'll be more than happy to answer it right away. So first of all, see about big data buzz. So a lot of people are talking about big data, and as you can see, why is big data a big deal? There is a torrent of information about big data. So a lot of people are talking about big data. So since a lot of people raised hands here already and said that they know something about big data, so now I'll take this opportunity to ask some of the people, what is big data? Anyone from the audience? Anyone? There was 50% show of hands. Anyone? Anything about it? I'll not judge anybody. I myself don't know. I'm just trying to read from here. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, volume, velocity, variety.
Great.
Big freebies.
Yeah.
And I like to throw in value too. Yeah.
Perfect. So he already probably stole my slide. I had that slide. So okay. So he mentioned 4 V's: volume, variety, velocity, and value. So in my mind, big data is actually a marketing term. It's not even an English word. I mean, you see big data, what does it actually mean? It means like very, very different things for different people. And what I want to do through this presentation is really make it easy for people to understand what big data is all about, what technologies are, how the industry is shaping. So that's what I'm going to talk about in this presentation. Moving on next. So let's talk about big data sources. So as you can see in the presentation, a lot of social media data is coming nowadays. So be it Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus, if people use it. And all these sources actually are generating huge amount of data. So my question to all the people here is that, is big data happening now, or was big data existing earlier as well, if we just talk about the volumes? So any show of hands, is this a new phenomenon, or it has always existed? How many people, so let me rephrase the question this way. How many people believe that big data is a new, recent phenomenon that has happened in the past 2 to 5 years, and earlier nobody used to work with big data? Show of hands, how many people believe that? Nobody? Great. So everybody believes big data has been there forever, and people have been working with it forever. So I think most of the audience is right in saying that. The reason being is, this is a marketing term that has been coined now, but people have been working with huge amount of data sets forever. Like specifically, climate-based data has huge amount of data, like space exploration has huge amount of data, nuclear reactors have huge amount of data, sensor data is huge amount of data. But one thing new that has defined the big data landscape today is social media. That never existed like 10 years back, the way it exists right now. So as you can see, there are over 12 terabytes of data from tweets and logs, and there are a lot of these sources. So You have social media sources, you have sensory information that is coming from mobile devices, you have all the feedback control systems, sensors, temperature control systems. All these devices are producing data. Not only this, when you talk about data centers, you have all these computers, you have your application servers running, you have your content servers running, and they are producing a lot of logs, so log-generated data. So everything nowadays is producing a lot of data. And in the torrent of data, people are asking these questions. I have huge amount of data. How do I make sense of this data? And that's all about driving value from the big data. So these are all these different data sources. They're pumping data left and right. Maybe some data is useful. Maybe some data is not useful. How do I drive value from this data? So that is it all about. Some of the applications of big data where they have been used, as you can see, there are like healthcare, retail, you have fraud, risk management, trading analytics, etc., etc. Like you can just name them. This is not an exhaustive list of usage of big data, but these are like kind of majority of places where big data is being used. So I'll need to see a show of hands to give an example of any of these areas. I'll not go through all of them, but if I see majority of people want to see an example of a specific area, how many people would like to see an example of, let's say, smart healthcare? Show of hands? 3, 4 people, okay. How many people would like to see an example of trading analytics, stock market? 3 people. Okay. Please do not raise hands I'll select people who are not raising hands this time. I think let me turn it around. People who want to hear traffic control, do not raise their hands. So majority of the people, okay. So I'll go with traffic control example. Okay, let me give you another chance. So how many people want to go with fraud and risk? Okay, let me give an example of fraud. So I'll just choose myself. You are not giving me democracy doesn't work all the time. I have to just give you a chance, everybody. So I'm just going to talk about fraud and risk management. So in typical fraud management systems, so let's talk about fraud in, let's say, banking industry. So I want to start up a company. I go to a bank and I ask them, hey, I make a very good presentation with a lot of pictures and visualizations and this and that. I build everything on vaporware. And as you can see, I can talk very well. I go and give the same pitch to them. Hey, I'm expert in big data and I'm going to build the next generation big data system. And I need funding. So, hey, can you give me funding? So they don't have any idea about my background, who I am, what I have done in the past, etc. All they're able to see is my presentation and how well I talk and how good I look. These are the parameters they have, and now they have to give me loan. What fraudsters would do, so how fraud management happens is that they try to profile people based upon certain characteristics like how old the person is, what kind of work he has done in the past, what kind of industry he's going to invest in, how much money he's trying to ask, what is the horizon of the investment, what are other companies who have invested money in that area. That becomes their data set. And they try to put each and every person in that data set and try to find anomalies in the data set. So idea here is that you have huge amount of data that exists from the past successes, past people whom the bank has loaned, the return rate, like how many times that loan became bad when the people did not return the money. They use that as an indicator and try to find out, does this person most likely is going to be a